I'm hydrating.
Well, I got the Bucky's water going too. Hey man, Rob Brown in Memphis, Brendan Martin of Ocala, Florida, EP extraordinaire. Got a great lineup today. Coach Pete Cordelli, one of the smartest football minds, as well as Coach Ellis Johnson, equally as smart. Dave Bartoo,
Tom Cruise.
yeah, and Dave Bartoo, college football matrix, going to try to join us as well, telling the stories with the numbers. Look, do us a favor, take a picture with your cell phone of the QR codes. We are live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. All those people out there that know me already share and like more than ever. Facebook, we got a lot of friends out there.
Rob, let me just tell your friends what to do, okay?
Yeah.
Just look, that's a QR code. If you don't know what a QR code, you can frame grab that and give a QR reader. Will take you right to the website. That is YouTube. You click on the subscribe button, bam, you're done. You get everything for free. Facebook, follow us, get everything for free. Anytime you see us anywhere, follow us, like us. It's for free. It's all for free. And if you click on it, you really help us out to bring it to you for free. So we want to continue doing that. So that's a great way to support the show. That's all I got.
Yeah. And look, we do it every day of the week. We got 8 shows on this channel, SEC Sideline Sports Network. Lot to talk about. So again, share us and like us, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, live. We're live, or watch us later. But appreciate your comments. Love to hear where you're from when you're putting in your comments during the show. So, hey, let's get started. Ellis, Pete, I think a lot of people are, I guess pulling their hair out, asking questions. What's going on with the SEC? I don't think you can read too much into bowl games. I said this right before we came on the air. When 20 or 30 of your guys aren't even there, they've quit on you. You can call it whatever you want, but it's not acceptable, and it should never be acceptable. But these aren't the same teams that played during the regular season. But Ellis, I'll start with you. The football that you watched, Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama, Indiana, watching, wow, Miami, Ohio State, and, all these games, Oregon, Texas Tech. What were your takeaways from these games? And when you consider NIL money spent on some of these rosters, all of them?
Well, first, a little comment on that bowl matchup thing. The SEC also has the best bowls. And so you play in the better bowl, you're probably going to play against a better team. But you hit it on the head. These teams that are out there now, the rosters are just totally different from what they start the season. So I don't think that's a good way to compare conferences. It's neat. Somebody gets a cup or whatever they get for winning the thing, but kind of like the All Sports Cup.
You get some ribbons.
On the games this weekend, I don't know. I mean, I'm scratching my head. Hell, I don't know if I got any of them right or wrong. I think I changed my picks 50 times. But, guys, when Alabama gets beat that badly physically, it just, I don't know how you explain it. I don't know how you come up with an analysis for that. Ohio State kind of got beat at their own game. Miami ran the football and made them like it and played better defense than they did. I think also we're learning that quarterbacks are a huge factor when you get to this level, trying to play through the national championship playoffs. You're starting to hit some really good defenses, and the play of the quarterbacks are getting exposed now a little bit, and we're finding out which ones are elite and which ones are just good and need a lot of help.
Yeah. Ellis, when you looked at that Ole Miss game, Trinidad Chambliss, he comes from Division II, and he had one of the best second halves of any quarterback I've seen. And now Austin Simmons is surprised in the portal. But one more before I go to Pete Ellis. Indiana, is there any doubt Curt Cignetti? And there's a lot of value. I love it because, Curt Cignetti's 64? That ain't old. Age is just a number. You can be as old as you want to be. But I love
the spring chicken. All right.
Yeah, he is. He really is. When you consider what the product
74 though.
Yeah. Oh man. No, look, make it you're 74% of the way to your goal. But guys, I'm just looking at the job Cignetti is doing. Dave Bartoo's right.
We sit here and Dave's right. I mean, he gives us these stats and everything. if you're not one of the top 5 recruiters, yada, 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 and you're not this, you're not that, all of a sudden Indiana shows up with 7 5-star, 4-stars, and not only wins, they're humiliating people.
Yeah.
And when you watch them play, and you may disagree, when you watch them play, just the eye test, you're like, these guys can't run as good as those guys that are kicking their ass. I mean, they take better angles. They fundamentally tackle better. They block better. They stay on blocks better. They do everything the right way. They never come out there not having their best day. They play up to their talent level every game. But you can watch them play, and you just keep thinking this thing's going to turn, this thing's going to blow up. These guys can't run with those guys. And they just keep making plays because they're more disciplined, and I guess they're better coached. I don't know. But they're more disciplined and they're more consistent. It just amazes me the level they play at. I thought they'd beat Alabama. I didn't think they'd humiliate them.
Yeah. Pete? Pete, when you look at and what Ellis just said, humiliate Alabama with a roster with 14 5-stars and 55 4s and 17 3s, in Indiana, 0 5s, 7 4s, and 58 3s, 2s, and who was this guy? I mean, that is a bunch of guys that are playing a full 60.
I've never believed in the star system because I have no idea.
Yeah. Well,
who the hell's putting stars on them? I don't know who's putting stars on them. I just know who's coaching them. And here's the deal. Of all their starting offensive linemen and defensive linemen, they don't have anyone under 21 years of age. Signetti went out, and that staff, they have an older football team. They've gone about it. They want older guys that are hungry for next steps.
Yeah. Well, you sit there and you wonder.
It's going to be the next level. And under 21. Alabama, but this is an Alabama team that's had problems running the football all year. And Indiana just mollywopped them. Yeah. And the thing about it is, this is the lowest rushing season total for an Alabama football team since 1955.
Wow. And those were the years of legendary coach.
3 years before Bear. Yeah. Guys, I'm telling you now, this Alabama crisis, it's a crisis. They can't run the football because, and Ellis Johnson made a point a month ago, you are what you practice. We saw Clemson fire their offensive coordinator who 3 years ago, that was the greatest hire since sliced bread. Now he's gone.
Yeah. Well, and
my question,
now they're bringing back a guy who's in the same category.
Do you think I mean, it can't be talent. I mean, there's no way it's a talent problem. Do you think it's a philosophy? Do you think they just don't believe in the run, so they don't work on the run, and then when they need the run, they haven't got it? I don't understand it. It's just puzzling to me.
Ellis, there's no more of inside drill. There's no more of
yeah. It's Ellis
9 on 9. It's the way you practice. It's a philosophy. There's no doubt about it. Look, when we were at Arkansas, we played Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, and they beat us 28-7. They could have beat us 128-7. And Coach Holtz walked across the field with Coach Bryant. He said, Coach Bryant, great game. He said, Lou, he said, that's as poor as we've played in a long time. He said, hell, you could have fooled me.
Well, you sit there and
from the time he walked, he said, we're going to the eye. We're done with the fear, because not only has it hurt our offense, it's hurt our defense, because we don't practice against teams that are physical, that are pounding on you. So it hurts your overall program. And we changed the philosophy. We went to the I formation after that. And, it's exactly what you said, Ellis. It's a philosophy. It's your identity.
It is. And Ellis,
what's your identity? What do you want to be?
Well, Pete, you were breaking up a little bit. I don't know what's going on on the computer, or what have you, but you were breaking up every other word. But you're talking about the philosophy. You know, you go from we're going to the eye. We're going to be more physical. Ellis, you're right. If you have Kirby Smart came out on Twitter last week and said, "Hey, you know, we're physical, and if you don't like it and you're going to hit the portal," he goes, "Let me know where you're transferring, and we'll schedule you. I want to play you." And I really look at these practices, Alabama's inability to run the football. You know, you go back to 1955; those were the salad days, the great years of James Ears Whitworth. He was a great coach, and had a friend that wrote a parting column, the late Ed Williams, as the Auburn Plainsman sports editor. He said Alabama should keep Ears Whitworth. He's a great coach, because if they get rid of him, they're going to go out and get him a serious coach, and they did. Paul W. Bryant, but Ellis, we've gotten away with everybody thinking you got to be hip and you got to be buddies with these players, go along to get along. You know, bullshit. This doesn't work. Kurt Cignetti is, and I've got a friend that is very knowledgeable about what's going on up in Indiana, and I may get him on the show. The point is, Indiana doesn't care what people think of them. They feel disrespected. How far can you take that? Can that take them a chip on your shoulder all the way to a national championship this year?
I guess if you're close in talent level, then that can be the deciding factor. And you're right. There are a lot of teams now, because of the recruiting, the hype, the portal, the NIL money, all of the other factors. A lot of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds can't handle that. They're not equipped to handle that. And we ought to know that as 74-year-olds.
Yeah.
We got enough sense to know it. But when you're 19, you don't. And so there are some factors that are really making it more difficult for coaches to get the culture that they want in their football team. Yeah. And I think some of them have tried to not give up, but they've tried to maybe find a pathway to where they can get these guys motivated and maybe, I don't know, keep them from leaving. And then Kirby's a good example. If practicing physical is going to make a kid leave, you'd rather he'd leave in spring ball than leave in the third quarter against a good football team, because they'll quit on you in the middle of a game if they'll quit on you because you practice too hard. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, you want to find the quitters now versus on game day.
Well,
and
sorry, Joe, I was just saying, Coach, we sort of talking about it before, in the sense that you want coachable guys, right? You want guys that want to win, that want to be hungry. I think we're early on in this process. I think there are those, as a coach, I'm asking an obvious question, but you want guys that obviously are coachable, are guys that are hungry, guys that are like, hey, I'm on Cincinnati. I'm playing for a national championship potentially. I didn't expect to be here. Cignetti's my coach. You have more rah-rah, right? Nobody expects you to be there. Can you talk about what it's like coaching from that perspective? And do you coach differently, say, in a playoff situation than, during regular season?
I think you got to get your players to understand, it's win or go home. It's not like that in the 8th game of the year. You may be playing against a team, and whoever wins that game's probably got the inside track to the conference championship, and you lose the game. You don't lose your whole season. You lose in the second round of playoffs, you go home. You pack your bags and go home. But the other factor y'all were just talking about, when you go out recruiting and having been in and out of those schools and living rooms and so forth, you start to get tunnel vision, and you're looking for the best talent. And you're not really doing your homework and making sure that these are kids that know how to work, know how to sacrifice, maybe put somebody else before their own selfish interests and those kind of things, all those intangibles. If you're not careful and the recruiting control from the top, from the head man is not there constantly, you'll bring in the best talent, but you'll have some kids that they just really didn't know they were going to have to grind like they do on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And all of a sudden you look up and you've got a bunch of kids and they're not championship players. They were the best signing class, but they're not championship players because they don't know what it takes to get there.
Well, you go back to the 2021 Alabama offensive line class. Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider, is on our show every week, talked about probably the best offensive line class on paper ever. But I don't know how many of those guys ever really panned out. Not many. And so here we are now. You know, when you go into the portal, you haven't known those kids, some of them since 8th grade. Okay. And it's hard to marry somebody that you just met. Maybe you can do that in Vegas when you're messed up. And you go, whoa, like in The Hangover.
Is it hard? I think it might be easier, Rob. I'm just going to say.
Yeah.
Be a little easier to marry someone you don't know. Right now, I'm just going to put that out there as more sky.
But when you're recruiting kids, when you have a relationship with them, you do know a lot about them. You've seen them play for years. You go in the portal, you got a guy who comes on your campus and he might commit 30 minutes after being there because you've shown him a stack of cash. So it's you don't know people's character until they've faced adversity.
Well, we don't know anymore either, Rob. Like coaches used to go into the dinner, like, Coach,
that's my point.
You went into the dinner table. You went in and played Parcheesi in games you didn't want to do. You recruited. Now it's how much.
Yeah, and frankly, what's going on the college level, there's a little bit of it going on the high school level. Kids are not being made to work hard and so forth. And you're going in to get the most talented kid, which makes sense. But if he's really that talented, he probably hadn't had to really grind much in high school because he lined up as an offensive lineman. He lined up against a 215-pound kid across from him. And, it's just different. And as much as I hate all the portal stuff that's going on today, when you get a kid from a college and he's got film playing other opponents, maybe you do know a little bit more about him than you did the 18-year-old.
Yeah, you do. And junior college, I think junior college is going to make a comeback because, Mario Gabelli, one of the best money managers in the world, he has a great reply when asked, where do you find your employees to run your firm on Wall Street? Harvard, Yale, UVA, UNC, Texas, Cal Berkeley. He said, some, but really what I go after are PhDs, poor, hungry, and desperate. You want people that are willing to work, that weren't born on third base and thought they hit a triple. That's what is happening now. You get kids in junior college who've struggled. And when you go to junior college, you pretty much, you want to work out, that's on you. They don't have strength. They don't have all that. They don't have the budget for it. So I'm looking at Alabama and going, they had one game this year where they had a rusher, Jam Miller, go over 100 yards. That used to be par for the course. It was how many Alabama backs topped 100 yards. And the receiver, the diva culture of the wide receivers is where a lot of this stuff is now. How much did we hear about Jeremiah Smith is so great at Ohio State, kid out of Fort Lauderdale. And now it looks like Cam Coleman from Auburn, he's going to be there. But they're out of the playoffs. If you can't, it's as simple as that. If you ain't man enough to line up, knock people on their ass, you're not going to win a national championship. Kurt Signetti.
You can't play Oklahoma anymore in practice, right? Isn't that the rules? You can't do that stuff. You can't do Oklahoma anymore.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I used to be scared of Oklahoma driving to practice. I used to have anxiety because I knew it was mano y mano. And you know what? It always felt like, excuse me, but more of a man when it was over.
Don't excuse being more of a man.
I played ball in the ring, okay? Yeah. I played ball. You can't do that stuff anymore.
Well,
all that was like whole practice when you had some psycho coach whipping around a whistle and hanging it on your head and back of your helmet. Like that was coaching. And you loved your coach for that.
You did, and that's why you still love seeing those coaches when you're out there. I see Bartoo, I see Cordelli coming in, but if you're physical in practice day in and day out, you're going to be more physical. We got Dave Bartoo out in college football matrix. Pete's back. Ellis, we've been talking a lot about and about what's going on in football. Dave, tell the story with numbers like nobody else. SEC bowl records 4-9. What can you read into that with all the guys leaving? But let's get your thoughts on what you've seen, the carnage, the leftovers, the flyover from the playoffs games up to this point. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Something, my takeaway on anybody referring to bowl records as important is you need to step into reality.
Yeah.
It don't matter. It don't matter. It hasn't mattered forever. I can say straight up by the numbers. Okay, this is how important bowls are to us. Okay, we have never kept a single stat from a bowl. Never. It has been a zero value statistically for us grading coaches and players forever. And we will never add it back in. And it's worth less now than it was before, but it's always been really an exhibition. And now, I mean, it's a complete exhibition because people are starting to wake up and realize that they have no players that love their school like they do because they can be as gone every 90 days. And so what are you going to do? But this whole SEC bowl record, oh my God, you want to talk about reaching by throwing crap on the wall? That would be it right there.
Yeah, and Dave, I agree with you. And you need a ticker tape, like keeping up with the roster, like the stock market. Like, who's on my roster? I don't know what the average number of guys leaving is. Dave, got to get your thoughts before I go back to Pete. Oregon looked so damn good, and you made a good point about Texas Tech. Your takeaway and your comments for those people that had the Eggman, by the way, listening right now up on the ridge, said, "Damn, Dave Bartoo has forgotten more than everyone except for Ellis and Pete." I agree with that.
Oh man, you know something? It was. I think what we said on the show is I liked Oregon just simply because they were a much more talented team. And with Texas Tech, look, Texas Tech went a whole season and didn't play a top 25 recruiter, top 25, whatever you want to call it, transfer portal buyer. Oh, by the way, can we get rid of the word commitment? I mean, seriously, cut the damn crap already.
I hate that word anyways.
God, just
committing anything.
Yeah.
Stop.
That's one of these friends.
That's God.
I'm not committing to anything.
Yeah, there's a signed contract and there's not. There is a commitment to transfer because of a signed contract or not. Gosh, driving me nuts. I do think Oregon, Indiana is for the national title. I think Indiana's going to win that football game. I think Indiana's going to win the national title.
I do too.
They have been by far and away the most consistent and best team in college football. I think really what it begs the question to everybody listening, to everybody that has a coach and a program that has the ability to recruit in the top 40 now, why does your team suck? Right? Because look at Indiana when you do a hybrid composite, which I've been doing for a few years with portal and high school, they're at best about 33, 34 in talent. At best, okay? We haven't had anybody win a national title better than 12 ever. So it tells me that obviously NIL is doing a massive job leveling the playing field. So why isn't your program able to keep up with it? Why isn't Mississippi State and Kentucky and Arkansas, which has equivalent talent level of Indiana, getting coached up? To me, this is more of an indictment on raising the coaching bar and figuring out how to work in this environment than the player bar, because the player bar is dropped. These players, these teams would all get their asses run out of the stadium by past elite teams. There's no elite teams anymore. So how do you figure out how to become elite at coaching these guys that are constantly going through the turnstile?
Yeah. Pete?
Well, the only commitment I can see on this program is to Iowa State, because you helped them get a new head coach. So they sent you swag. They're committed to Dave Bartoo. I love it. Yeah. So rep it. Oh,
I'm committed to you too, Bartoo.
no,
Me too, Bartoo.
That stands for knowledge.
Yeah, there you go.
It's Knowledge University. Hey,
Yes.
And Kenny Minchie is going to be their new quarterback, transferring from Notre Dame. That's a great get for the Knowledge University in Lincoln, Nebraska. Iowa State is getting Jalen Rayner from Arkansas State, who's going with his offensive coordinator, Keith Heckendorf. So you're right. There is no commitment. It's who's paying me the most. But
Yep.
look, like I said, I'm sorry about the bad connection earlier, guys. It is a talent. It's not a talent, excuse me. It is a coaching issue. I don't know who the hell's putting these stars on these kids, but it's up to the coaches to develop them. Kurt Signetti has had more continuity in developing programs everywhere he's been, from Indiana University to Elon to James Madison. And guess what? They don't practice. They're not on the field longer than 2 hours a day. They don't practice longer than 2 hours a day. But I will say this again. Every offensive line starter and every defensive lineman, the two deep, are all 21 years and older. They have a formula. They are taking the older guy, which, as they say in the SEC, it just means more. Those older guys understand I've got to perform now because my opportunities are limited. And the plan that Signetti and this staff have, they've developed guys over the year. They just got last night Josh Hoover from TCU to be their quarterback to take over for Mendoza. Josh Hoover was the guy Tennessee called last spring, wanted to take Nico's spot at Tennessee. He said, "No, I'm going to stay at TCU." Hoover will fall right in line with the quarterback development at Indiana next year. And so whatever evaluation model, criteria model Signetti and his staff are using, it is definitely paying off because then they go with the pod, the plan of development. They definitely have a plan of development in all three phases of the game.
Yeah. Dave, and then back to Ellis. Dave, what he just said about, and y'all did say about the lack of commitment. Let's talk about what happened at Iowa State. They were down to 17 players. You got him a coach. Let's talk about that because what's happening out in Ames, Iowa, it's going to have a ripple effect.
Oh, sure. It ripples everywhere. And, I like what Pete's talking about. I'm a huge proponent right now of continuity. Player continuity used to be pretty easy because they really couldn't move around that much. And so you could build that. My first coaching continuity experience was with Mike Bellotti and the Ducks. And he had a ton of guys there for decades. Literally decades. And I do believe after talking to him, it had a really profound impact on the foundation he built in Eugene. You look at these programs from a coaching standpoint, from a coaching continuity standpoint. Indiana, same head coach, same OC, same DC, same special teams, same guys together since Elon, right? You go to Eugene. They're losing Will Stein to Kentucky and Tosh LaPoy to Cal, but for the last 3 years, all those guys have been together. Okay. Miami, you've had a little bit of turnover with Heatherman and Guidry, which was understandable. And Shannon, at offensive coordinator, has been there for 3 years, as has a lot of the other guys. And they're playing Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, up until last month, the coaching continuity in Oxford had been extraordinary, right? I mean, Pete Golding had been there for years, the same guys. That's kind of the word of the day, really, is the continuity of it, the coaching side of it. How do you build that in the player side? Something I think we're going to see a lot more models of NIL and player management focusing on those two deep and having a structure where if you can get in there, that's how you're really going to get paid. And so the goal is getting guys in that too deep, and the other non-44 just get churned trying to replace those guys as a methodology.
Ellis, you think about this. You're defensive coordinator. You did this 43 years, head coach in D.C. Pete Golding, D.C. at Ole Miss, now the head coach. How much different is it, just as you see it, for him in these games. I mean, they're 2-0 in the playoffs, but kind of put us inside of his mind of what's going on.
Well, we don't have a big enough sample size, to make a real judgment on it. But I tell you, up till now, he's handled 2 weeks of chaos and distractions and all sorts of things that could have knocked it off the tracks.
Yeah.
And it's still on the tracks. And so whether he has been absolutely responsible for it, he damn sure gets the credit, because if it didn't, everybody'd be saying we knew it wasn't going to work. But I think he's done an awesome job. This is hard enough. Venables got away from it. Venables went back, said, I'm going to call it, and I'm going to be the head coach. Brought in a couple of guys that were real close to him that knew almost like how he thought before he made a thought on defense. And 2 of them have worked with me before as young coaches. But I don't know. I mean, I just think he's done an unbelievably good job, and they seem to be tied together. It's got to be the locker room, number one. It's those kids. There's got to be something in there, the chemistry and the commitment to each other. But that's a reflection of the coaches. And hopefully this thing, I saw where it's brewing now, that they didn't really expect to go this deep. And there's some coaches that Lane said got to go. Got to come over if you want this contract. Otherwise, we'll just tear it up and you stay over there. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But they are playing as well as anybody in the playoffs right now, up to their level of talent. And you got to just give Pete a hell of a lot of credit now. I just think handling that situation, mostly off the field, has been, to me, a bigger challenge than calling the defenses. Obviously, he's been doing that for 10 years. And then being a head coach, I don't know if he ever was at a small school, but being a head coach in that environment, I think he's handled it really well. I think it's apparent that those kids respect him and will play hard for him.
He's only 41 years old. I would think that being Dave Bartoo, go to Dave and then to Pete, I would think being a head coach and trying to call the defense or call the offense would be like, as a kid, trying to do your homework with the TV on. I just, a lot of distractions. It's not easy. But I'm impressed with Pete Golding by the fact, you notice one thing on the sidelines, he doesn't get rattled.
No, he doesn't get rattled. He's a stoic coach in that regard, and quite honestly, what is there to get rattled about? It is what it is, and I agree with Ellis. The head coach is going to be the GOAT. He's going to be the hero. So whatever comes of this, he deserves all the praise for keeping it together, no matter when they lose down the road. But I also agree too. It's 2 games. We're not judging a coach and his career off of 2 games, let alone even 2 years. So it's a fantastic story. And if you're an Ole Miss fan, dude, ride the wave, because you don't know when the football gods are going to take it away.
Yeah. Pete, along that line, Pete Golding, again, 41 years old. He's got his boys out there on the field with him. Life is great. And then, you're going to have your first loss eventually. But he's been named the head coach. You look at Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss. There's still doubt. Is he going to stay at Ole Miss? Is he going to LSU?
He's not going to LSU.
Yeah, but judging by his body language, he looks like he's real happy at Oxford. Is he going to get another year next year is what I want to know. Do we know?
They're working on it. They're working on it for him. And look, the one guy who's ruled the NCAA for the last 10 years, Thomas Mars, the attorney in Arkansas.
Yeah, Little Rock.
Anytime the NCAA gets a letter from Thomas Mars, they fold. Thomas Mars is not lost. I have said this for years. Thomas Mars should be the NCAA president, because he's, as Coach Bryant used to say, he beat you with his and he can beat you with yours. I mean, he's won both sides of this thing. Thomas Mars is the most feared man in the NCAA because he hasn't lost a case. He is representing Trinidad Chambliss, who, again, I don't think the stage is too big because he won the national championship at Ferris State. Ferris State won it again this year. He comes from a program that understands pressure and winning. Yeah, it may not be Division I, FCS, whatever letters we're putting on this junk, all right? It's college football. Trinidad Chambliss has played at the highest level. He is not going to LSU. That's why Austin Simmons got in the transfer portal. Austin Simmons is going to LSU, the backup quarterback who was the starter that Chambliss beat out.
Yeah.
Now, the LSU situation, Charlie Weiss talked to his father, longtime NFL head coach, before all this went down. And Charlie Weiss Sr. told his son, you make a commitment, you're staying with those players all the way through. He said, go to Lane and tell them. Charlie Weiss Jr. went to Lane and said, I'm in this for the long haul, no matter how long it takes. Charlie Weiss Jr. was at practice yesterday with the Ole Miss team. Everyone else, after the game in New Orleans, when they beat Georgia, those LSU guys went to Baton Rouge. They did not go back to Oxford. They went to Baton Rouge so that Friday morning when the portal opened, they were there in Baton Rouge with Lane. The one other assistant is the running back guy. I think his name is Smith. He was at practice yesterday as well. But everybody else is back with Lane in Baton Rouge. And it's my understanding they're not going to coach against Miami. Charlie Weiss has done a great job the last two games calling the offense. If we have any questions about who was calling the offense at Ole Miss, it's Charlie Weiss. You know, there was always this, I don't want to say controversy, but there was always the question of, is it Lane's offense? Is Lane calling the offense or is Charlie Weiss calling it? I believe now Charlie Weiss has called the offense. Yeah. He and Chambliss, they're on the same page. That's why I think Ryan Day did a disservice to his football team going back to call the offense when he hadn't done it since 2023. Players like consistency just like coaches do. The quarterback has the same voice in his ear for the last 2 years. He understands voice inflection. He understands, hurry up, hey, slow it down. He understands the communication. And we always talk about how important communication is. Well, now you change the play caller in a week, where now Charlie Weiss Jr. is staying with Trinidad. I think that's huge. Yeah. Huge for the kid's confidence. You know how to handle it. And this Ole Miss thing, those Ole Miss kids are pissed off at Lane Kiffin. I don't give a damn what anybody says. This is the emotional bump. When that kid came out the other day and said, yeah, Kiffin wanted to take the shine and get on the ESPN broadcast. We don't want Lane Kiffin. So there's a lot of things going on, and I'm like Ellis and Dave, 2 games, small sample size. But you got to ride that wave, like Dave said, because you never know when it's going away, because it doesn't last forever.
Yeah, Ellis.
Rob, one other little thing I wanted to add. One of my old GAs, Joe Judge.
Yep.
Joe has been working with the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Closely. He also helped Lane initially with all the money because he'd been in the NFL, 2 different places, and actually been a head coach at the Giants.
Yeah.
And he was helpful in many ways before they got a GM and all that front office straight.
Yeah.
But if you watch now, he's the guy that's talking to Trinidad on the sideline these last 2 games. Charlie's upstairs, and that's the communication. Joe's really sharp. I mean, he was a special teams coach. He was quarterback for us, 3rd-string quarterback, holder, punter, all this good stuff. But he played quarterback as a young kid, and he's done a good job with it. Belichick actually had him working with a quarterback at the Patriots briefly.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he's been very helpful in that situation. A little stability there that's helped, certainly helped Pete, and also I think it's helped Charlie.
Rob, the other guy that's not getting enough credit here, I think, is Keith Carter, the athletic director. He didn't conduct a national search. He took the pulse of his football team and said, who do we want? And those players en masse went and said, we want Pete Golding. We don't want this train going off the tracks. Keith Carter was playing basketball when I was doing Ole Miss radio for football and basketball. I have all the respect in the world for Keith Carter, a grinder. Yeah. But he's going to do the right thing. And I don't think Keith Carter's getting enough credit for making the right decision and sticking with the guy that the players all rallied around.
Yeah, and he's good friends with our friend Gordon Ford. Dave, I know this much. I think Tom Mars was the guy that made the portal the law of the land October 15th of 2018. If y'all want me to, I'll put Fiedler, I'm going to try to get him on the show. I'd love to bring him on here if y'all want to talk to him. I'll make a call right after the show today. Dave, jump back in here. Incredible. I want to say this. Wow, Ellis. Hey, Joe Judge was your GA. You can't find anybody else like Tom Cruise. But anyway, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, I think Ellis is, we need to do a whole segment on Ellis's coaching tree, right?
Well, that's you can call it coaching roots. I've had some great GAs over the time now. I mean, these guys are all successful, but Charlie got it mixed up. I didn't make them good coaches. They were doing my job for me, and that's why they're so damn good now.
Well, you're still a badass.
Right. That's what makes a smart CEO. Just surround himself with smart folks and let them do the work. Right. No, it's been a great run by Ole Miss, and actually, I think that's one of the cooler storylines. Is you start looking into a lot of these programs. Is we got somebody who's going to win their first national title as a head coach. Everybody's path to get here is very different. And there's a lot of stories to tell about how they're putting it together. We talked about Indiana. We talked about Ole Miss getting here. Oregon obviously is a huge brand, a top 5 recruiter. I think the one team, and look at this, you're 43 minutes into this show, and you got Miami sitting here. And I'd like to just bring them up just because Mario has been pretty vilified as a poor head coach and a poor manager of the game. And he's lost a lot of games. Don't get me wrong, but he's built this team from the inside out in what he thinks is a national championship image. And people are starting to realize, damn, building from the inside out can win football games. Who would have thunk it, right? And so I think kudos to him for implementing his strategy in getting the players he wants to try to win football games, playing big boy football. And I'm sure Ellis and Pete like watching Miami play and maul the hell out of teams for 60 minutes in the middle of that field.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Hey,
Ken
all four head coaches work for Saban. You want to talk about a coaching tree?
Yeah. They probably all worked for Ellis too. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, you know what was funny was one time Brother Oliver was talking when he took over for Terry Bowden at Auburn. He said, look, we got 3 hours allotted every day for practice. If we're done in an hour and 15 minutes, we're out, man. There's no sense in just hanging around and doing stuff just to do it. I love that because you knew Brother Oliver. Somebody was telling me about you, Ellis. Had a bunch of my Alabama friends up here hunting. They all went to Tuscaloosa. They're still good people. They were up here with me this weekend duck hunting, had a blast, and they were talking about you. They said, that son of a bitch was a bad – they all remember you quite well. But the thing about the coaching trees, Pete, look what you learned in 31 years of grinding it out. My God, your connection tree. You put the three of y'all together. It's the holy trilogy of sports guys. Amazing.
Well, you build a brotherhood because you spend so much time together, and you get to learn so much about each other. And man, when you're on the same page, I mean, that's hard to beat because then that transcends to your team. Players are an extension of their coaches. Let's just, whether it's the position coach to the unit to the team, the same message. That's why we talked earlier about continuity. Those position coaches, those coordinators are carrying the same message that Kurt Cignetti wants them to carry. That's why Indiana's had such great success. I want to go back to Miami. The defensive assistant coach of the year has to be Jason Taylor. For what he has done with that Miami defensive line. And Jason Taylor played for Nick Saban when he was with the Dolphins. Jason Taylor's from Akron, Ohio. He was homeschooled. I tried to recruit him at Kent State. It came down to us in Akron. He stayed at home and went to Akron. I've known Jason since he was in high school. You talk about relentless and just a will to win. And he has carried that over to Reuben Bain and Messador and those guys. I'm watching that Miami defense the other day, and that's why I picked Miami to beat Ohio State. They reminded me of the 88 defense that we went against when we were at Notre Dame in that 31-30 game that we won. I mean, the only adjustment they're making is with their chin strap. Here we are. We're going to come whip your ass play after play, and guess what? Until we break your will. And that was the Jimmy Johnson mentality and Jason Taylor. That's the way he played. That's why he was all pro. You watch these guys technique wise, their footwork, their hand placement, the way they explode off the football, the way they bend to the ball. I mean, let me tell you, it's just a fundamental part of the game that you see being executed at the highest level. And the defensive coordinator that came from Minnesota, his attacking style of defense fits with these Miami kids. But Rob, I'm going to say this. Dana Kirk was the head basketball coach at Memphis. Yeah. He always used to say, I can fill my car up with gas, and by the time I get from full to empty, I got all the players I want here in Memphis. That's because of the basketball mentality. Mario in South Florida, that's the same thing, man. Between Dade and Broward County, and then and then you go out to the Glades, dude. You don't have to leave South Florida because you got some dogs now, and they're playing hard, brother. They're playing hard. I'm gonna tell you one of the greatest high school games ever: Pahokee versus Glades Central. They call it the Muck Bowl. Yep. They play it every year at Thanksgiving, and it is one of the greatest games to ever go see. I was fortunate; I got to see 5 of them in a row, man. You talk about those dudes getting after each other. Yeah. Man, oh man. South Florida, Mario's doing it right. And Dave saw him when he was out at Oregon. You know, he tried to bring some of that SEC mentality to Oregon. But, Dave, you're right. I think Mario was learning how to be a head coach. And the great thing is he's learned from his mistakes, I believe. But we all have. Being a head coach, man, there's so many different things you got to go through, especially in the first 3 years, you know. But Mario's got it down now, and it's going to be a fun matchup with Ole Miss.
And it will be. It's interesting you bring up Taylor. Mario is unequivocally the most detailed interviewer I work with. Okay. I mean, he spends more time, asks more questions. I have been on the phone with that guy more than anybody, going over guys, whether it's hiring Heatherman or anything else. When that defensive line job came up, he never called. I mean, it was Jason Taylor from the beginning. I mean, there was no list. And let me tell you, I have got some lists with that guy. You know, I mean, we have combed through a ton of coaching talent. But when it came down to Jason Taylor, no phone call, just boom. That was his guy from day one. And so I think that really echoes what you're saying, Pete, is that this guy, that Taylor, has been made to not just be a great player, but to be a great developer and motivator of players from day one out of Ohio.
Dave, I want to say this. A lot of times great players don't become good coaches because they think in their mind, well, I did it this way, you should be able to. And it's like, no, you were the exception, brother. But to be able to carry that over, to say, here's the technique and here's what's going to get you through. That's where Jason Taylor has gone from being the great player to the great coach, because you see it in his players, what he did so well. But that's why I laugh now. You know, we got Troy Aikman going to help the Dolphins with the head coaching interview. We got Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning suggested Adam Gase to be the head coach of the Jets, and Woody Johnson. Tom Brady wanted Pete Carroll. You know what? I understand you like certain coaches, but not all these guys can get it done at that level. Jason Taylor, he's going to be a head coach someday in college football and do a great job.
Yeah, and guys, the thing that we're looking at, I can think of when Magic Johnson was a basketball coach. Yeah, you were a freak. Yeah, Larry Bird, you pick them. Steve Spurrier is the exception to that. I want to go back to Dave about Mario Cristobal. you know him, and he does get slammed a lot. Tommy Tuberville's talked on our show when he used to come on before he got to Washington. I hope maybe when he's governor, he can come back on. But he was so good about when he recruited Mario from Christopher Columbus High School in Miami. It's Dade, Palm Beach, and Broward County. Ellis, you know this as well as Pete and Dave. Every year, about 100+ Division I players come out of those 3 counties. Just the Catholic schools alone down in South Florida could produce and field a national championship roster, Dave.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Florida is, you don't have to go very far to find the talent. And there's a lot of kids down there. So no, it's Miami's a fun place to be, I think, from a player standpoint. Or it was probably more fun because once you recruited the guys and got them, you could keep them. I always love seeing more homegrown talent win, and that's always exciting to me. You don't see it much out here at Oregon, football wise. You're never going to see it. Their average player is 1,100 miles away from home. So that doesn't exist. I had the Beavers win the national baseball title a couple times, and there wasn't a damn kid more than 250 miles away from campus. That was glorious. So Miami is a real special place to try to go pull special talent and build something there. And obviously, I'm rooting for him.
Well, and Mario, Ken Capps was on the show Friday, Football Writers Association of America, great writer, part of our show out in Dallas. He talked to Reuben Bain at length after the game. He said, just the guy he's special. He's a special talent. And y'all talk, Ellis, you talk about that front 7 of Miami. And if you've got any kind of depth, really, Dave just brought something up we're not thinking enough about, trying to pull a kid away from South Beach in Miami. Wow. That would be hard.
Well, that's not South Florida recruiting. I had that area when I was at Clemson. Never been in there before. And one day I jumped in the car with Mark Richt. He was coaching at Florida State at the time. And he just rode with him. That's how good a guy he was. We were big rivals at the time. I didn't know where in the hell I was going. We hit more schools and saw more practices and things. I was just before I was getting ready to pack up and take it to the hotel. But now one day I was over in Glades.
Yep.
And sitting outside Hardee's eating a burger real quick. And somebody called. I can't believe we had cell phones back then. And they said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm sitting outside Hardee's eating a burger." They said, "You really shouldn't eat over there. You ought to go back over to the coast and eat." So that's the damn AIDS capital of the world. I started spitting food out, threw the burger out the window, drove back over to Fort Lauderdale, got me a room at the Hilton on the waterway, and that was where I recruited out of for the next 3 days. Yeah. That South Florida recruiting is different.
Yeah.
You also have to go through scanners to get on any campus, weapon scanners.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be careful. I always wore my coaching stuff because usually kids would leave you alone if you had on a coaching shirt.
Yeah. Well, the Belglade, it's the mosquitoes down there too in the Everglades, and it is brutal. But Dave, I think the coolest thing here is this national championship, these playoff games. The Saban coaching tree, that's firmly there. But the talent, man, you've got the extremes. You look at the roster. Oregon's got 5 or 6 5-stars, but Dan Lanning, how much of a difference does he's got a lot more of a fire in him than most people think, doesn't he? I'm really a fan of his.
I think everybody realizes how batshit crazy he is. He's 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And he knows who he is. He knows what he wants to build. Actually, when you outside of Pete Golding, and I think we're figuring Pete out, but it's been 2 days. But you think about it, Signetti, Cristobal, and Lanning are doing it the exact same way today as they did it last year, as they did it the year before, as they did it the year before. These guys have a path in mind. They have a culture in mind. Dan's out there trying to lose football games with coaching decisions, and his team bails him out. It's if he loses the national championship game going for stupid 4th downs inside his 50, I'm going to absolutely lose my mind. which, by the way, everybody is complaining about that 3rd and goal call for Georgia not running the football. That was not the situational play of the game. That 4th down call inside their 50, okay? Number one, that went against the numbers. But bigger than that, they gave the offense of Ole Miss the chance to increase the momentum index by giving them the ball on the plus side of the field. When they scored, when Ole Miss scored that touchdown after that 4th down fail, when he should have punted it to the other end of the damn field, when they scored that touchdown, Ole Miss hit the highest calculated momentum index in our system for that game. Okay, because we have a algorithm that calculates momentum index in a game. If you win the momentum index, you win 91% of all college football games. 91%. By going for it inside the 50, he allowed that momentum index to escalate. And Ole Miss ended that game with the highest momentum index in that football game. And like I said, that's stronger than garlic. That's stronger than winning the turnover battle. Everybody's talking about that 3rd and goal. It was that 4th down that killed that game. He punts it away. I guarantee you they win that football game. I really, really do. But back to Dan. Dan wins sometimes in spite of himself. But no, he is full throttle. The book's out the window. And he just plays by the seat of his pants. And I think that carries over to the rest of his team offensively and defensively. And it makes them, I think, a little more fearless, even if they do stupid stuff.
Yeah, we're about out of time, but I mean, this is some of the best stuff. 3 of y'all together. I mean, they couldn't get Led Zeppelin together for $800 million, but we got y'all. Y'all are the coaching and football knowledge equivalent of Led Zeppelin. But guys, great stuff as always. Next week, we'll be talking about more. We're 2 weeks from tonight is the national championship. Hard to believe. Look at there. Look. Oh my God. This is awesome. This is awesome. You can't.
Dave Womack. I've never worked with Dave Womack.
Oh, my notable prodigies. I love Charlie Harbison. You know what, though? You got
Never coached under Tommy Bowden.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Brendan, you're muted. Brendan, we can't hear you.
That's what Twitter thinks about you, Tommy. So first of all, it's not my fault. AI thinks that you've done all these things, and I would like to just show everybody this is what AI can do if you say make a coaching tree of Ellis Johnson's life.
Yeah.
According to Grok coach Tom Cruise, you have done all these things. I just want you to know. I think it's very funny, and I want you to stop lying to us right now.
Well, the best thing, that picture, I recognize that picture. It was
Tom
picture day at Carolina, and Steve Spurrier is sitting right beside me in that picture that y'all cut out. That's where I made a great coaching decision, was going to work for him.
Yeah. Hey, look,
it's right here, by the way. This is the picture you're talking about right here. I ripped it from the internets, but there's you and the man right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Wow. That is.
Two.
Look, that is badass.
Badass.
As Gary Danielson and Vern Lundquist were saying in the 2010 Alabama-South Carolina game, Alabama #1, South Carolina won that game 35-21. They said, Ellis Johnson, longtime defensive coordinator, they were raving about. I was watching that game in Hardy, Arkansas on fall break with the kids, a bunch of Alabama friends, and it didn't go well for Alabama, but it went great for y'all. Look, great stuff as always. Thank y'all. Unbelievable. We'll do it again next Monday. Most often we see the face of Christ and the least among us. We're the most blessed people in the world. Guys, follow all of our sponsors, Landers Ford, Hewlett & Dunn, Rumble Boxing, and hempforpros.com. They healed my shoulder. They're hempforpros.com.
Healed. I'm healed, David.
My friend
David, you healed me. You healed me with your weed.
Hey, Norman Blake is going to be calling you, a friend of mine from Memphis. I told him to call you. He's got a shoulder injury. Great triathlete. But anyway, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you for watching. This is a lot of fun. Gets more fun every time.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Mary Ellen.
Oh, go Ducks. Wank, 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 wank. See y'all tomorrow.
See y'all later. Turn all these guys off. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow. Love you guys. Mean it.